All right, we'll call the meeting to order. First item of business is to approve the order of the agenda. Any changes to the agenda?
President Hill, there are no changes to the agenda.
No changes to the agenda. Would anybody like to make a motion? Move to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to the consent agenda. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Jeff, please poll board.
Commissioner Rosted,
Yes.
Commissioner Deutsch,
Aye.
Commissioner Apsey,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye, motion carries. All right, item 1 on the regular agenda, recognition of audience public comments. Do we have anybody in the audience who would like to address the board who is not already on the agenda to speak this evening? Do we have anybody from the public who would like to speak? Hearing none and seeing none, we'll move on to item number 2, director's report. Susan.
We do not have any information for the director's report this evening. Nothing new.
Okay, nice and quick. Any questions from the board? Perfect. Item number 3, here we go. We have a presentation from the board plus. We're going to start with Kelly, and then we've got the whole rest of the team, and we've been told you have 45 minutes. 45 minutes or less. All right.
Good evening, commissioners. Hopefully we can keep this to 45. So yes, we're the lucky ones to come and present to you guys. So I gave the opportunity if anybody wanted to come, and see, they all wanted to meet you. The only one that's not here is Wayne here. His son flew in from Arizona today, so he gets the day off. So I thought we'd start off just with introductions. So each one wants to come up, your names, titles, how long you've been with courts, and then from there we can get more information.
I'm Logan Cassette, Sales and Customer Service Coordinator at Courts Plus. Been at Courts for 5 years full-time and 5 years part-time, so I'm considering that 10 years total.
Hi, I'm Angelique Cutie. I'm the Administration Manager at Courts, and I've been with the company for about 5 years, almost 6. I'm Jamie Larson. I've been with Courts Plus for 10 years full-time and about 15 part-time. I'm the Director of Courts Plus, Personal Training and Group Exercise.
I am Dean Winston. I'm working on the 12 at Courts Plus, and I'm a custodial maintenance supervisor, one of them. Ryan Aller, Dean's right-hand man, I've been told. No, I'm a building supervisor as well. Been there about 2.5 years. Hello, my name is Jay Young. I'm the supervisor of junior development at Pickleball. I've been with Courts Plus for 7 years part-time and 2 years full-time. My name is Zach Zitter. I guess I've been with Courts Plus for 9 years now total, and 6 in full-time capacity. I'm the supervisor of Bell Leagues and Lessons.
Last but not least, I'm Crystal Howes. I'm the program supervisor, and I'm coming up on my ninth year in January.
So we'll start off with a little tennis and pickleball information. So Zach.
All right, so just to start off here, we have a graphic of the tennis private and group lessons with the number of participants that we had ranging from the years of 2022 all the way to 2024. As you can see, in the year 2022, we had 6,099 participants total with 80 tennis lessons, which is a great thing. We get a lot of juniors, a lot of adults within our lessons and our group lessons. And then as you can see in 2023, we also had a growth. We're at 6,717, and then even this year we're at 4,022, and that is obviously with a little bit of a change here with Oliver Summers departing his role. So we're really trending in a great direction. We got a lot of people that are involved within lessons. We see a lot of people that come through our groups, especially in tennis. So we've definitely seen a lot of growth in the last couple of years. Yeah, a lot of like tennis families, obviously, and a lot of obviously pickleball as well. Was a lot of really we hit every age range. So from old to young, have everybody in the building, obviously, kind of growing in all facets.
Question, do we feel like, is it growing from the youth perspective too? Are we seeing higher youth numbers?
Yeah,
Overall?
I can touch a little bit on that. We're seeing quite a few youth. We're definitely seeing a really big raise in youth numbers, tennis-wise especially. A lot of the high schools, like for example, Davies High School has around 80 to 90 kids that go out for just their girls team alone in the spring. So we see a lot of kids that are continually going out for tennis. Shanley had around 50 to 60 last year, and a lot of the schools are ranging in that 40 to 60 range for both Davies and varsity programs. So we're seeing a pretty significant growth, and then we're also seeing those kids join in during the wintertime to definitely do a lot more group lessons, programs, those sort of things. We'll touch on that a little bit later on too. Yeah, and in the groups and also in individual lessons as well. So we're seeing really kind of in both regards. All of our group classes are almost, every time we open one, we really fill. And then, on an individual basis, we have a lot, especially in the summer here, so we're able to expand outside of course once.
And then, just another question on that, like, so this 6,717, is that counting, so if someone gets a private lesson and a group lesson, do they get counted twice, or is it kind of unique individuals, or if they take like 4 group lessons throughout the year, does it count them 4 times?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so each time that they would participate within a group, they would get counted as a number.
Got it.
So yeah, when we ran that report, it would be like, for example, if they were going to go into a private lesson, they would be counted as an individual within that. And then if they went and they did like a Saturday drill from 1 to 3 o'clock, they'd also be counted as a participant as well. So yeah. Touching on our next bit here, this is our pickleball and group lessons as well as our shootouts. So shootouts are generally little small tournaments that we run for pickleball on the weekend. And those are participant numbers that are also counted here. We have 2023 and then 2024. As you can see, we have 97 in 2023 and 171 in 2024. Trish and Tom are part-time pros. They do a lot of the shootouts and a lot of the pickleball group lessons. I also do a fair share of pickleball lessons as well. We're going to be starting to track those a little bit more as we move on to these upcoming years, and really making sure that we're counting that, because we obviously are seeing a big growth in racket sports in general, especially on the pickleball side of things as well. But yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot more pickleball lessons and shootouts that are happening quite frequently. So.
Can I just go back to the previous slide? Is that too hard? Yeah, but it showed your growth over the past couple of years, and I'm just curious, that the previous 2 years was COVID, so the numbers were just nothing, I'm sure. How does that compare to pre-COVID? Are you exceeding where you were at pre-COVID, or are you getting back to where you were at, or I'm just curious, maybe you don't have that info.
So I would say that we definitely got quite a bit of growth, especially when COVID came around, because it was very much so a sport of practice social distancing. It was really easy for people to be able to get out and play. We definitely saw that spur ahead racket sports in general. I mean, pickleball, tennis, we see a lot of players. Pickleball, we see a lot of players. So definitely has spurred our growth, I would say. We were already growing before we got into it, and then it just really started going like with full sprint. I don't know if you. Yeah, I think a lot of people just kind of picked it up. Yeah, again, because of social distancing, and also just because we only had a short time that we were really shut down. We opened up back in May 2020 and really offered our programs because they were able to do social distancing.
I was just gonna ask, how do you strike a balance between, I mean, well, first of all, let me clarify, you're using tennis courts, right, for your pickleball?
As
Yeah,
opposed
they're
to,
dual use, so.
as opposed to the gym floor or whatever?
Yeah, we used to have pickleball in the gym floors years ago. When I started full-time back in 2018, we started striking courts for pickleball on the tennis courts. That's people's preference. They would rather have that as opposed to a gym floor, because it has like a true bounce.
So how do you strike that balance between knowing how much to, so to speak, market towards pickleball or towards tennis and trying, you know what I mean? Like trying to figure out if that's, if right now on this day, is this court a pickleball court or a tennis court? And how do you, I mean, just kind of, is that,
Yeah,
is
so
it a soup, you just throw a little bit of everything in there and figure out a balance or?
Yeah, currently we have it where we try to reserve the courts, the ones that are striped for pickleball, we reserve those. We essentially keep them booked off and booking for tennis unless we have to use them. So there's 3 courts that are striped for pickleball, and we try to have those be essentially, the primary pickleball courts. If we have some event or some type of program that needs to use them for tennis, then we would use them. And vice versa, if we have like a pickleball tournament, we have the ability to lay down like temporary lines so we can expand our footprint. All right, so yeah, I guess the next thing is gonna be tournament participation. So the numbers that you're seeing right here are 2023 up until this point in the year. So through the first 7 months, January to July, and then 2024 the same. So kind of like in that regard. And so he's in 2023 to this point, we had 418 people participating in tournaments, and then we had 509 to this point in 2024.
Does that include your Red River Open?
It does indeed. And we can go next slide. All right, and then this is like the adult leagues and lessons. We have, even though it's like adult leagues, we do have juniors that compete in our leagues. In 2023, through the first 7 months of the year, we had 100 participants, and then this year, through this point in the year, we have 133. All right. And then just to give an update on our youth programming, so MXP is basically our age groups for 7th through 18 who are looking to be able to get into a competitive track. We saw numbers of 260 participants for MXP throughout the course of the whole year. In the wintertime, we generally run into a problem where our industry standard is usually around 4 kids per court. We've been getting to a point where we've had 8 kids per court, and we're still waitlisting kids. So in the wintertime, we had 34 kids that are on the wait list for our programs. In the fall, we had 28 kids on the wait list as well. We've gotten to a point where we're trying to be able to accommodate as many kids as we possibly can. So then we're doing 8 per court, and that gets a little bit obviously tricky because you have to be able to go through and do different drills that don't necessarily cater to like a singles player. Be a lot of doubles, a lot of things that you have to do there. For our stars program, it's very healthy. In the year 2023, we had 470 participants. We generally were maxing out just about every program that we had offered throughout the week. We continue to see a really big problem with our 11 and 12-year-olds trying to be able to find them programs to be able to get into. We generally end up having to a point where we get a lot of kids on wait lists for that program as well because they're just starting tennis and it's a little bit tougher for them to be able to get an organized group in. A little bit easier on the MXP side of things because we went through them programming, but if you're an 11 and 12-year-old, you're trying to be able to find some time to be able to play. It gets to be really tough. We've had to start adding our times as to when we do registrations just to make sure that parents are able to be in the know for when they can register their kid because it sometimes moves across the Black Friday. It's pretty tough to be able to do that.
So what's your solution for the future? If the numbers are, obviously the demand is there.
Well, so as it stands right now, the only way in which we continue to keep growing, and I don't know if you'd like to comment on this as well, is probably the addition to some sort of courts. Whether as you were going to be using that for dual usage, which we already do, and we do pretty well, I would say, with pickleball and tennis. That would continue to keep allowing for us to be able to get more players out on court. But right now we're running into a really sticky situation where it's going to be another tough winter. We're going to have to go through, we're probably going to end up having to waitlist kids. And there's only so many more years that we probably can do that before we see the negative effects that would continue to keep happening.
And these are the only indoor tennis courts in the community, right?
Correct.
I understand. Yeah, the universities don't have indoor, they have a field house or something that they're a multi-use kind of surface, right? This is the only indoor dedicated. Yes.
Yeah, one thing that did happen, I guess a few months ago, a representative from the USDA actually reached out to myself and they asking about like potentially, first of all, he just wanted to come up and see the facility, and two, to maybe like talk about, because we have one of the bigger growing places like in the northern section, about potentially some way to solve this, I guess, and maybe like have another facility or somehow do something to kind of have more people, get into the sport. So we're meeting with him, I think it's September 6th, we'll meet with him, so, yeah, well, maybe something will come of that conversation, but that's, I guess, one step we're taking.
Did you ask him to bring a bucket of money?
Yeah, so Pat, he runs all the grant programs for the USDA Northern, so I specifically said that, like, he's the head of special projects for the USDA. So, he would be the type of person where we would go down probably a grant like we have.
Is tennis growing nationally? I mean, obviously pickleball is growing everywhere, right? But tennis, how's tennis doing on a larger scale?
Yeah, tennis is growing, quite a bit. We're kind of, I think, actually in a very good position in Fargo where there is probably more youth than most other areas. There's a lot of, families and stuff like that, and people who are moving into the community. Obviously, the schools have grown in size, they're adding schools. So because of that, we have, and because we only have like one, it's a big funnel with one, output. So we have a lot of people who are obviously coming to Fargo. It is growing on a national basis, but I would say even more so in the Fargo area.
I just have a question, being that I'm new. For these youth programs at Pickleball Express, do you have to be a member of Courts Plus to participate?
You do not. We do have differential pricing, so if you're not a member, it does cost significantly more. That's kind of how we get numbers. But we do try to have it where, you can, if you're interested in the sport, whether it's pickleball or tennis, you're able to, obviously do it. And that's how we actually acquire a lot of our members, and try out a program in a non-member, paying the extra fee, and then they become a member.
Do members or residents get priority?
Yeah, members, in terms of reserving courts, they can book 7 days out versus a non-member would have to book the day of. And just due to how, filled we are, it's mostly just members who are reserving courts. So
What about for MXP or classes or anything like that?
programming, that is not the case, is it not?
So yeah, so moving on to Pickleball Express, obviously pickleball is growing quite a bit. Pickleball is definitely a sport that has been picking up. In 2023, we saw 80 players and we were averaging a wait list of 4 to 5. Sometimes we would be even a little bit higher than that. We had 5 total sessions. We actually used to do Pickleball Express in a 6-week capacity, then we went down to 5, and now we're currently down to 4 because we just want to be able to squeeze in more individuals to be able to play. Even for this last example, we had a summer session that was going to be starting from 8 to 9 o'clock, filled with 16 people. Wayne Herrick led the charge of being able to get another one added on, and then we have now 15 people, and that's actually started tonight. So we're seeing a lot of growth when it comes to just the racket sports, and a lot of people that are looking for tennis court surface to be able to play on. So that's one of the big things that we're seeing within our community. Thank you.
So I think there's another slide.
Yeah.
Okay, so you
There's like one.
three pages of notes.
I didn't realize there should have been charts and all of that.
Just to give you guys an idea of, like where membership is kind of looking so far. So 2019, one of our better years, we were net to 196 memberships, which I said before, one of our best years. And then COVID 2020, net negative 225. So, but from there, since COVID, we've been net 687, which is massive. And then this year alone, we're on track to hit our membership goal. So membership's been going really well.
So membership has been steadily going up as well as our sales overall are up about 100,000. 20,000 of that is membership, and there has been some things we've separated out financially as far as where they're listed in our accounting groups. So one of them is the separation of pickleball and tennis that we just started this summer to give us more of an idea of, are those courts being rented for tennis or pickleball? Is this private lesson pickleball or tennis? That way we can just actually see the need in the community and what's happening. We also did the same thing with one of Crystal's program for Child Watch. It used to be listed under as a membership because in our old system, it was just part of the membership and we separated that out. So even though we're still up 20,000 memberships, some of that, we could be up even more if we hadn't gotten Child Watch out of there, but it's something where it's really great to see that we're up and moving forward.
You said you're up $20,000 from last year.
Yep, at the
That's-
same time, yeah.
Oh,
For
in
this time.
relation to,
Yep, in relation to
I was
this.
gonna say, boy, you're halfway through the year, and you're
Yeah.
$20,000, it's gonna be a great year.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's still a great
Still
number.
very good, and honestly, like of that 100,000, about 70 of that is tennis, pickleball, like as far as court time, private lessons and programming. So it is huge.
Thank you.
Real fun stuff.
When maintenance has more slice than the business. Yeah, the one.
Here's what we'll spend all money they're making. North Tennis Courts, it's a northeast building of course was, and it's old, where it leaks water, it's leaked water for years. Anyway, we're getting it waterproof on the outside, they're digging out, putting new drain tile in, new sump pumps, and they're gonna regrade the landscape. Hopefully this should alleviate any water seepage that we've had in the past. We've had it every year, all year. Roughly 40,000. It's a good company, we think. And the membrane on the west side of the track building is torn away. They had a membrane on the cement blocks, and it's been torn away just from the rocks and everything. And you can tell that there's been water probably seeping in because the blocks and the inside are getting paint peeling. So that's another job we need to do. That's about $20,000 job. We getting that scheduled now too. Currently the lockers, men's locker room upstairs, right now they're working on. We're almost done with the men's, and we're doubling the size of the men's sauna. Also doubling the size of the sauna heater. It's gonna be real nice. And our carpenters are doing a good job on it. It's gonna be great. And we're also starting on the women's right now, on the south side upstairs. And before too long, we'll take the other part, and that'll be done too. Let's see. After that, we're just normal maintenance, recording studios A and B, August 8th, and then basketball gym will be done September 9th to 12th. We'll sand it and recoat that whole thing. And security camera equipment, possibly the end of September. We're looking to add a software update, increase the size of our deck inside or whatever, but then put outside cameras in, which we really would like. That would help a lot. And
Need for the parking lot or just outside the building or?
put one in the corner that would cover the parking lot and like the entrances, both where they affect the lights and my entrance out there, and another one out front that would help the front entrance.
Yeah, useful to the people coming and going too.
Yep, there's a few things that go on out there.
Thank you.
Do we solely recoat the basketball courts every year? Is that an annual thing?
No, not annual, it's
What's that?
about every 2 to 3 years.
Really? Okay.
Something like that. It's new now.
Okay.
You said, you were talking about security cameras, you said you wanted at the front entrance and.
And then one over by on the corner of the track building that would face between the two buildings there.
Okay.
That would, a 360 that would basically cover the whole parking lot and the utility entrance there, which would be a big help.
Yeah, we're just seeing a lot
like people stealing bikes and stuff like that. So
Oh, yeah.
we're just trying to.
Well, and we have to recognize too that the playground portion is a separate portion and it's got its own separate traffic that's coming in and out of it. And God forbid a situation ever happened where a kid walked out the front door with somebody that they weren't supposed to.
Exactly.
We would really need and want that video to just help the process of rectifying that situation as quickly as possible, so. Yeah, thanks.
Jamie, you didn't bring a buddy.
I don't have a buddy.
I'd offer, but I don't know where you're at.
She don't stretch out yet.
No.
I can stretch later.
Okay.
For group exercise and personal training, I started a small group training. So we have members coming in, they start with an intro to personal training class where they learn how to use the equipment. And then they move in with a trainer where they're directly personal training for a few sessions. And then they go into small group training. So if they're in similar fitness levels, they can choose to go into that smaller group instead of the one-on-one. So it's a little cheaper for them and it's a little bit of additional income for us. We are expanding the senior schedule. I added a couple senior circuits this summer. We have about 16 to 22 women that are regularly in the gym every single morning. So the senior circuits have been popular. They're averaging between 15 and 20 people. So this fall, we're gonna have a senior stretch, another gentle yoga, and then another, maybe just even a walking stretch group. The mind body classes are crazy at Forest right now. We've had classes of up to 28, 29 in Studio B. We're averaging about 19 people per bar class and Pilates. So this fall, definitely about 5 or 6 additional classes for those. Yeah.
Maybe you need a buddy.
So is body pump still a thing, or is that?
Body pump is, they're probably averaging, I would say like 10 to 15, but not nearly as popular as Pilates and bar.
What about Zumba? Is that still a rage or not?
We don't have Zumba, we have the feet.
Can you go back up to the microphone though?
Oh, sorry.
Because then we can't, the listeners, the viewers can't hear your answers.
Body pump is down a little bit. So our mind body classes are staying more of an attendance than the body pump classes were.
So I'm curious as to like the group fitness obviously is growing, of course, Plus seems to be growing, right? We have more kind of these like boutique, Pilates, yoga, spin clubs, all the things, right? Just put you on the spot, but like, what do you have like a thought or like an idea of like why? What do you think is happening? What's driving that? Is it like gender things? Is it like what?
I would say it's more that it's all included in our membership, and most boutiques are pretty expensive. Like I think I don't want to say names, but there's a boutique in town. I mean, it's $50, $60 to get into the class, where it's cheaper to get a membership and get all of the classes and pickleball and everything, in one spot. So I think that's a big difference.
But just even group fitness versus like even at Course Plus, like why do you think people are gravitating more towards group fitness than like on their own kind of, just doing their own thing in the weight room or on the cardio or?
I think it's social. I think it's just people are bringing friends and then they get their little groups. So you get 3 or 4 or 5 and, they just keep going. And like the senior ladies in the morning, they're very accountable to each other. And so when someone's missing, they're calling each other. So I think it's more of a social aspect and it's just fun. And we have great instructors.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And that could be part of it too, accountability, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, where were you? I didn't see you last week. Or
Yeah,
on vacation or, I know, I haven't been.
Yeah.
It's gotta be coming more. I'm just curious, I've noticed that too, kind of that, the growth of the
Yeah.
group.
More people make it fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Well, and as you said, with the membership, you have access to weights and cardio, but if you want a personal trainer, you're paying above and beyond for that personal trainer. Whereas if you take a group fitness class, you're essentially getting a group trainer and you're getting the social and the accountability.
And the trainers have been really good with that too, because they start one-on-one with a new member and then they're like, you should try this class. And then they start going to classes and then they're training and then they're going to classes, then they're bringing friends. So it just kind of, it's awesome how it just kind of trails down to bringing everyone in.
And the instructors are building relationships as well, right?
Yes,
So
exactly.
There's that extra.
Yeah.
I promise, I still have Pilates on my calendar,
You've missed a lot of for a few weeks.
I know. I will try, I promise. Accountability.
Any other questions?
All right, I fall under other, so. I run the youth programs at Courts Plus, so I just have a couple things to add in here. All of our programs combined and events included, in 2023, we profited 75,000, almost 76. And so far in 2024, we're at just over 46,000, so hopefully right on track. Programs and events that I have coming up for the rest of the year include Beyond the Bell, an after-school program. No school days, both mini sessions and all day, so it's accommodating to all work schedules for parents. Kids Night Out, that's every other weekend, like a date night, 3-hour session that's always themed, and we do fill for that, it's very popular. And then Santa Shuffle will be in December. That's also a popular event. And then Little Slammers, I had my first one since 2022, I believe. And I filled, I exceeded my numbers. And then I'm gonna do another one come early winter. Try that again. Kids Night Out, just to give you a brief overview, we typically cap out averaging between 25 to 30 kids. That is the max that I can allow with my staff that run it. So that is full. Same with APT, same thing, between 25 to 30, unless I have shortage of staff, then obviously accommodate there. And daycare, child watch, revenue has significantly increased since we started our drop-in option. So that's similar to Dino Kids and Kids Kingdom. So we have that available anytime that we're operating. They can come for up to 3 hours per day, and that's accommodating the young babies as well as the between 5 to 12-year-olds that can attend our no school days. So we're accommodating all age groups besides 12 now. And to give you an example of how much we have profited there, in 2022, before drop-in, we were at 2,300. 2023, we were almost at $9,000. That's when drop-in began. And in 2024, we are over 19,000, but once again, that does include the child watch monthly add-on fee. So that is our big excitement things that's going on in child watch. And then last but not least, playground also falls under me, as well as Dean does help me quite a bit there as well. We are going to be getting interactive panels that we're replacing sometime this year. They're very back ordered, so at some point they'll come in, paid for, they're coming. And then benches, we are getting new benches in the playground. Those will be hopefully coming as well by December would be the nice goal, in the process of ordering that. And then last but not least, we do have, we're gonna be replacing our punching bag area with like a monkey bar, soft play zone. So that will be hopefully coming, I would hope, within the next 1 to 2 years, but depends on budget. So that is what I got for you guys. Do you have any questions, sir?
Who gets to climb up to the punching bag area and replace that whole section?
Not Joel.
That usually falls under, yeah, that is the
Oh,
first one.
there's one way up on the top.
Way up on the top, yeah.
That's not the one that's getting replaced.
Yes, Dean or our maintenance team does help with repairs as well as, I help as well. Sometimes our staff does, depending on what they can do and help with it. So, yes, any other questions? Okay, thank you.
It says Wayne got promoted.
Oh, yes. More to come.
That's Kelly's work.
Unfortunately, I was gone half the week last week to get the stuff started, so I'm back. So I got a few numbers from Wayne since he couldn't be here. He just had on down here the birthdays, we're doing very well for birthdays. A little down right now compared to last year. We'll see how the end of the year shakes up, but we went from 21 with COVID, 28,000 to the next year being 57, 23, 62,000, and now we're at 51. So that's year to date. Rentals, we're at a very good year here in 24 with rentals. We did have both volleyball come in for a while, so that helped. But, you know, people are still wanting to come in on the different kind of, whatever kind of store basketball teams, whatever, still come in and rent out the one side. Playground admissions, we're up 6,000 from last year this time. That's also the $1 increase that we put. So we're very even on our numbers coming in. So that's still going strong. Any questions on those?
So you're saying $6,000 it's up, so basically even with the dollar increase as opposed to 6,000 more people visit our.
Yeah, they we're pretty even, if not even a little bit down. On attendance, but it's not much. But the dollar increase, not quite good. So yeah, staff recognitions. With Oliver leaving, we had many meetings on what to do with that position. I felt that was a good time to do a reorganization of the club. So Lynn Herrick took on the tennis department along with group expert Jamie, and then we promoted Angelique to administration manager. And she has Crystal and Logan under her. So far, I think everything is going well. I haven't heard anything otherwise, but yeah, team's doing great. We did tours, myself, Lane, and Angelique went to Minneapolis last week. Toured, I don't know how many. A lot of gyms. From Lifetimes to pickleball, we did them all. And besides the Lifetime, which I wouldn't spend that much money, I personally would pick our club over Rouse and South. And it's not being biased. Sometimes it's nice to leave, you want to know how much, how good we have it. So, big kudos to staff on that one. Everything looks great. The equipment is up to date, so yeah, everything's good. Any questions?
Just one observation, you mentioned birthday parties, I can't remember if you said they're up or slightly down, but every time I turn around, there's somebody else is offering a birthday party package, or you can go to this guy's house and this guy's garage and this Jim's place. So the fact that whether you're slightly up or even down a little, I mean, you're doing a really good job maintaining and keeping people remembering they can come to Courts Plus.
Yeah,
There's a lot of other competition out there right now.
There is. We've got a few different things. At the playground, we can use the big blue room, and then also you can do the gym, play floor hockey, and have an inflatable. There's something probably just.
So I just got a quick little story. My wife and I signed up for Pickleball Express this summer. Took the class, and at one of the classes, an older fella went down pretty hard. Didn't get back up. And, I didn't really think about it at the time, but they eventually had to have an ambulance come and took the guy away. But, when you think about, lifeguards, that's their job, is to take care of, something happens. But in the case of like at Courts and a lot of our other facilities, stuff like that happens. And Logan was there, Amanda and Zach, who were teaching the course, were there, and they just were really professional. So I thought that was, they stood up and they took control of the situation. So that's nice to see that and appreciate that.
Are you saying the old guy's grateful?
Yes. It still hurts.
So obviously, kind of the theme of enrollment's up, numbers are good, things are going well, making some good improvements, right? Got a little bit of a pinch with tennis, right? And demand for tennis, we're not quite satisfying that, difficulty there, and then pickleball, man. I mean, I feel like, which one of us doesn't, like almost every day have a conversation about pickleball, right? And it's like, and I always have to be careful because you're like, why, is there gonna be a ceiling? Are we, when do you hit that point where it's like, well, no, now you're on this, something else, right? But I don't know, those are the things that I think a lot of us did hear so much about.
And so when we were there, and I spoke with our tennis guys, I mean, it's unbelievable in Minneapolis. Like, it was a very nice day out, both Tuesday, Wednesday, and every club we went to, every pickleball court was packed. Like they said all mid and high level players don't play inside because they don't want any of the elements. So that's where we're going. You know, talking to people who have been around for years, it's now they're doing youth lessons, sitting in the schools, so it's not gonna go anywhere for a while. And so that is a conversation we talk about all the time. It's fine in the summer, but come winter, people get angry if they can't get on court. So
It's my son's been playing baseball at Brunsdale, and so it's like a couple days a week, right? And I love poking my head in there, and it is like you have such a wide age range, right? It's not like, oh, it's all this older people or younger people, it's everybody, and then they can play together too, right? And it's I think it's just fascinating to see how this popular it's gotten so quickly, but just things to try to be, obviously needs to be in our forefront as we're doing, moving forward, right? Yes.
And I agree, it's exploded in the last few years, and we said, well, how is this gonna sustain forever? But it's really just exploded up here in the last couple of years. Jerry, we went to NRPA probably 8 years ago, was it now, or longer dads, and Jerry lined up a tour for us in New Orleans. We went to a massive facility down there where, it's a massive facility, and there were people standing in line waiting to get on, like a king of the court type thing, or whatever. So my point is it's sustained itself for a decade down south already and still isn't losing any steam. So I feel like if it's been the rage the last 3 years here, we got at minimum 7 more years before that thing. And I don't know how we're all going to mitigate this, the pickleball courts coming in here, but that could potentially alleviate some of the concerns about the needs for the tennis courts, because clearly those were already tennis courts to begin with, and these are going to be specifically pickleball courts. So maybe some of that balance can be figured out through there, but thank you. I'll let Aaron finish it out, but thank you very much for all of your, I'm a frequent flyer at Courts Plus, and it's fun to see everybody's passion, every one of you. I see you on a daily basis doing your jobs, and it's fun to see, the passion you have for what you do, because it's not just a job to any of you. And some of you don't see that I see what you're doing because you're so focused on what it is you're doing. But I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, I'm very impressed with the fact that not only you guys do such a great job, but that that you love what you're doing. And so I commend you for that. Thank you. I'll just good job.
That's probably perfect.
45 minutes.
Increases too, right?
2 minutes
The
to spare.
staff work out.
Yeah, 45 minutes.
That was
Is all
actually
right?
pretty close. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, you guys.
Everybody. Thanks.
Good job.
All right, on to item number 4. Now we are going to consider and approve the 2025 preliminary budget.
And you guys can stay for the budget.
Yeah.
Feel free.
Yeah.
Well, it's got the numbers there.
All right, let's
All right, thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Today, as you indicated, we are here to present you the preliminary budget for 2025. I will walk through a summary of what we have included in the budget. We have a few slides to look at as it pertains to our mill levy and how it is spent, and Luke is with us as well for any questions we may have as it pertains to the budget. So if we, before we get into the slides, if we talk in general about how the budget is looking and what are the highlights comprising the 2025 budget. As we've talked at our budget committee meetings throughout this process, we are proposing in the 2025 budget a general fund mill levy increase of 2.05 mils. We will talk through the specifics of that and look at that on the slides, but as we think about the growth that we've had throughout the park district and the things that we're trying to put in place from an operational perspective, as well as long-range capital opportunities as we think about the future with the park district master plan, and also making sure we're staying on pace with deferred maintenance, we think it is very important that we take a look at the potential for increased revenues within the budget. The other things that are built in as highlights to the 2025 budget, we are projecting a 6% increase in state aid. As you recall, we receive state aid as a pass-through through the city. The city receives funds for the purposes from the state, and then they pass through those funds to the district, and we believe, based on trends and what's been happening, that we would see about a 6% increase in state aid. We do also have an increase, and it's not on the memo, but I wanted to highlight it for you, because we do spend a lot of time, and you approve the fees that we talk about for our services, to charge for services. And we have an increase of just under $2 million in revenue in 2025 for charge for services. And again, that's based on trend data of usage, and that's everything from golf, which is a large piece of the charge for services, but also all the programs that we offer here at the Park District, and individuals who sign up for those programs. And the Recreation Department has presented fees to you in the past for that, aquatics, all the rec programs, and then we also presented fees on the golf side, and so there's an increase there as well. From the expense perspective, payroll and benefits, we have a 4.5% increase for full-time, regular full-time salaries built into the preliminary budget. We have funded 5 new positions, or recommending 5 new positions in the preliminary budget. And then currently we have a health insurance increase of 20% right now built into our budget. I did visit with our insurance broker today, and they're still working with Blue Cross Blue Shield to get firm up those numbers. Those are typically released the end of August, so they're working hard on getting those numbers. And so tentatively, based on trends over the last couple of years, we built in a 20% increase, and we'll continue to monitor that with our benefits broker. Work with our utility companies, and we're projecting about approximately a 5% increase in utility costs over the 2024 budget. And then, as you're familiar, we have an internal transfer in the preliminary budget that is $1.76 million, and that is the transfer that we do to fund our long-range capital plans as we go forward. And so we want to make sure that we are continuing to have dollars available and have a strategic plan around our the master plans that we put into place, and make sure that we have a plan to fund those. And so we do an internal transfer for those purposes. In your packet, you will see a summary of, you'll see the entire budget packet, but on page 4 specifically, you'll see the general fund summary, which is really what we operate the day-to-day pieces on. And what's important to think about that is our total budget for the Park District, grand total, is approximately $55 million for 2025. That includes general fund operating, Valley Senior Services, which is in a separate budget, as well as our debt service. So it's important to know that you have to add all 3 of those together to get the total picture. But about $38 million of that is our daily operations to run the Park District, and that is found on page 4 of your budget packet. With that, before we open it up to questions, we'll talk through the slides that we have for you to look at. Really looking at our mill levy summary and what is happening from 2024 to 2025. We are seeing that there is growth in the city. We're very fortunate to be in a growth region in which the city of Fargo has continued to grow. I believe it was 5.4% this year of total growth in valuation. So you see an individual mill has increased from $800,000 in 2024 to $843,000 in 2025. We're very fortunate to be in that type of environment that is growing on a regular basis. What does that mean to us as far as our mill levy and what it looks like for 2025? You see there's growth in the general fund parks. How our mill levy is broken up is we have the ability by statute to levy for parks and rec facilities, which we have 4.6 mills in place for that. Then we have 21.21 in place in 2025 for general fund parks. Really, those two added together, the 2 blue in the middle, are what make up our annual operating account. The debt service levy is explicitly used to service the debt that we take out either with general obligation loans or anything we have with special assessments, et cetera. That's all in our debt service levy. It cannot be used for daily operations. So they are very separate, very targeted. The increase you see in the general fund parks is a result of two things. One, it's the growth of each mill, as well as the 2.05 mill increase that we're discussing as part of the 2025 preliminary budget. Next slide. This is a graphic history of what we've done through the years. Commissioner Rosted, you talked about this in our budget meeting recently of showing what has happened with the park district through time. And you see that if we look back over the last 11 years there, we had a period of time where we were constantly reducing the mill levy from 2014 to 2018. And then with some strategic initiatives and plans for the things that we've been doing lately, we started to target some growth starting in 19, but really ratcheting that up in 21, 22, and 23. Those significant increases you see in our mill levy is specifically tied to the general obligation debt that we issued for the two major capital projects we have, which is the Fargo Park Sports Center, as well as the Allen Park Pool. And so that's why you see that tied specifically to debt that was issued for those two projects. Those dollars cannot be used for anything other than those projects. That's what the general obligation bond requires. And then those are sinking in interest levies, which go down over time as there's growth in the district. Now we had the decrease in the levy last year of 4.01, and we then are seeing with the things that I talked about with growth and opportunities to fund future capital plans, recommending a 2.05 increase in 2025. And so this just gives you kind of the lay of the land of what's happened over that period of time. Next slide. And this is really a use of our levy and what we're using our dollars for. And I think it's important to know that, you know, if you look at really what are the two areas where we're providing service to the public. Parks and maintenance, as well as recreation and events and pools. That 55% here is really what we're providing on a daily basis to the public. Maintaining our facilities, operating events, things of that nature. 15% of our total value of our levy is going to administrative costs, and then, as I said, you get about 33% that is for debt, 30% for debt service that we cannot use for daily operations. Very specific targeted levies for the debt that we service for the growth that we do have. I think that is the rest.
How do you define administration? Because I think about, whoever's deciding we're gonna mow that lawn today, we're gonna cut down that tree tomorrow. It might fall on an administrator, but it's still part of operations.
Yeah, so great question. So the staff and the salary costs for any of those types of things in the parks areas and facilities, et cetera, are embedded into the green and the blue. Administration is really those units that are central administrative functions to the park district. So human resources, finance, IT, those central administrative functions. And the other piece that drives up that percentage is, although salaries are embedded in each of those departments, so under parks, maintenance, rec, et cetera, administration carries all of the benefit costs, all of those additional costs tied to payroll. So your payroll taxes, employee benefits, all of that, we carry that in the administrative area, mostly because there's a lot of decisions on an annual basis for renewals, et cetera, that we're kind of centralizing to make sure that we're managing that in a central area. So administration, it's got a twofold piece. Central administrative functions that are not, I guess you'd say, out in the field, but then also overhead costs that are true to the entire park district embedded in the administration piece. With that, we would certainly stand for any questions you have. As I said, in your packet, the budget packet, there is the summary on page 4, and then behind that is the department by department detail. And this we've represented to you in our budget meetings. Certainly appreciate all of your time in those budget meetings to ask questions, give direction, give input on where we need to be. Luke is here as well to answer any questions that you might have. He and I have worked very closely with all of our leadership team, meeting with every department, talking to them about what their needs are in the budget. And then as we needed to get to a point of balancing the budget, working with the executive team as well as our leadership team to really look hard at individual budgets and really honing in on those things that are true needs to the departments and moving forward. So with that, we'll certainly stand for any questions you may have about the preliminary 2025 budget.
Thanks, Rob. And just to clarify, we basically have to submit this by the Friday, correct? We have to submit it next Friday?
The next Friday.
Next Monday,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great question, Commissioner Hill. So procedurally, let's just, I'll give you kind of where we go from here to final. So yes, it's due on or before the 10th. And so since the 10th is on a weekend, we have till Monday to submit to the county for preliminary certification. The county then takes all preliminary budgets and prepares preliminary tax statements that they send to the taxpayers. We then will follow up in September, I believe it's the 10th, is that our board meeting, September 10th? In which we will do our budget hearing that we're required to do by statute, in which the public has an opportunity, once they've seen their tax statements, to come in and visit with political subdivisions about the taxation and what their concerns are. And then we would bring a final budget to you at the October meeting, which is due to the county on or before October 8th for final certification. As we submit our preliminary budget, we have opportunities where we can decrease this budget between now and October, but what we submit by Monday, we cannot increase. And so we only can go one direction from preliminary to final. I may have anticipated your question, but
Thank you. That's where I was gonna head next, was that we can go, we decrease, but not increase. Thank you. Any further questions for Rob?
I don't have a question, but seeing it like this and seeing that 55% is going back to the community or providing services is great to see. And I just, going through my first budget session with you all, seeing all the time and thought put into the budget and thinking of the community and for maintenance was great to learn from you all and see it in action. So
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I think we want to be, obviously it's a sensitive time around government entities taxing, and I think we want to be sensitive of that, and we're kind of trying to pay attention to our sort of fellow entities in the community and what they're doing and how they're doing it. And so I think we want to make sure we're sensitive of that, but we did have a formula decrease last year. And so I think it's a pretty, it's still a raise, it's still an increase, right? But a little bit smaller. I always ask this, I know, and you maybe aren't prepared for it, but can you remind me again, so a $2 million increase do we know what that would add to like the taxes of a $100,000 home?
We do. The general math around those increases is 1 mil is a $4.50 increase per $100,000. And so if we do the 2.05 mil increase, which is being proposed in this budget, it is $9, please hold, $9.22 on a $100,000 home. So it's $4.50 times the 2.05, and then times however many 100,000 you would have in your home.
So $30 on a $300,000 home.
Yeah, correct.
Roughly.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay. It's just always nice to put that into perspective, right?
Sure.
When we're trying to make these decisions on how does that affect the tax bill.
Yep.
And of course, it's the people with the fixed income and those who have been in the homes for many years, who maybe are limited budgets, and that's who, impacts the most, more than the person who could drop a $20 bill on the street and not realize they lost it, so. Yeah, it definitely has an impact, plus the increase in their assessed value, which we've decided is 5.4%.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
that's a natural thing that
Yeah.
we didn't get to pick for them, that just automatically happened.
Yeah.
The 5.4% growth, that's about 1.47 million, is that
So,
right?
So if we take the 5.4% times 843,000, so I didn't do that in my head, but I will trust that
The
that is the right
increase of the
number.
43,
Yeah, and
the mills increased 43,100.
yeah, by pure growth, yeah, just by pure growth. And you make a great point about the growth and for homeowners, that average, I believe in the city's assessment report this year, it's 3.8 of value growth and then like 1.4 of new growth, so new homes. So that's an average, so some might have gone up significantly more and others significantly less.
Sure.
But what we need to correct is on the full 5, yes,
Yeah.
correct. Yep.
Okay, so the increase in the mills is about the same as the increase in the assessed values we're taking in.
Yes, because we get the margin on the existing mills. Yes, that is correct. Versus the whole 95% of the 843 on the new mills.
And, you know, obviously you guys spent a lot of time going through this and what money do we need, what can we do without, what can we do without, what happens if we kick the can down the road and don't try to collect some money that we need for buildings and maintenance and deferred maintenance. And we've had many conversations about how we've waited too long on some things and then it's kind of kicked us in the rear when the building, when the roof's gone out or something's impacted us negatively. Trying to be very conscientious with somebody else's money. But sometimes that negatively impacts us when we're trying to be too frugal. And I think we started with a bigger number than the 2.05, and you guys whittled down to the 2.05.
Yeah.
And we're still net 2 below 2023.
Yeah, where we were in 23, that is correct.
I think it's fair to point out too that we, you know, that the entire sports center is not on books yet. So we you know, are going to have additional operating costs. We need to be cognizant of that and the fact that, you know, we made this decision. This is what the citizens wanted, and we did it. We need to follow through with it. You know, and so getting through that first year of getting our staff the opportunity to start the process of you know, renting, and saw that we have tournaments booked once all 8 courts are online here in January through the end of the spring, which is awesome. So I think that's important, and we need to take that into account, that this will be the first full budget where the sports center is open and running, and we need to make sure that we support our staff in this project through to fruition.
I think one of the elephants in the room that we also need to think about is inflation. From 23 to 24, inflation was up 3.1%. If you go back 2 years, it was up 7.4%. So that, you know, dollar for dollar, our buying power is down based on the inflation factor. So if you margin out the inflation increases, we're not really increasing our budget and our buying power as much as it might look on paper. So I think the inflation thing is something we need to be concerned about and how we deal with that too.
All right, good discussion. Any other questions? Would anybody like to entertain a motion at this time?
Yeah, so I do this a lot of thought. When you know, we can set the budget and we can go backwards and go higher. And I think in my time on the board, we probably never reduced after we set the preliminary, but we can and we could. So I guess what I would like to do is make a motion that we stay with the 2.05 mill increase and ask that the staff go back and just, you know, pound through the numbers one more time, see if there's any loose change that they can come up with that we could pull back on when we vote on our final budget. So that would be my motion, that we stick with the 205 and we have the staff go back and just double, triple check if there's any positions that we can reduce on.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, Jeff, please poll the board.
Commissioner Austin,
Yes.
Commissioner Deutsch,
Aye.
Commissioner Amsey.
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Brad.
Thanks, Rob. Item 5, board to consider and approve the strategic plan. Susan.
I was hoping some, like, walk-up music or something on this.
You gotta bring your own walk-up music, that's what the boys do at ball games.
Oh, I thought Carmen was gonna have that prepared for me. Good evening, Commissioners. So I am so excited to be bringing this 2024 strategic plan in front of you tonight for approval. You know, this is a pivotal piece in providing our strategic vision and direction for the future of our district. You know, the strategic plan really provides the clarity and for the overall organizational direction and alignment of our mission, vision, values, and strategic priorities. The plan outlines a roadmap for the strategic priorities, goals, and investments to enhance the overall quality of our park district's places and spaces. You know, really the process that we took in the strategic plan I think is something that is really important to us, and we were very intentional in the input that we wanted to receive. There were many voices that were involved in this strategic plan. We conducted surveys, we did internal surveys, we did external surveys, we did different focus groups with our athletic groups and different partners of the park district. We looked at our strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities, and then really used all of that data that we collected to look at the different trends and to identify what our strategic priorities would be. We assembled some strategic planning committees, and you know, that was really made up of different community leaders, partners, and some employees from the park district that really represented different levels and different departments in our organization. This just talks a little bit about the surveys and the number of responses that we received. There were really some themes that were generated from the different surveys that we conducted. And the themes are reflected throughout the strategic plan that you'll see. Governance, transparency, and trust were three of the main themes that we heard through those different surveys. The timeline, you know, it feels like we've been working on the strategic plan for a long time and maybe even talking about it longer. But we really started in November, kind of hit our stride in December, and then again, hopefully tonight, you will approve our final strategic plan. So about a 7 to 8 month process. And again, you know, I feel like why we're so pleased and happy with the results of the strategic plan is that the process includes so many community members and our staff. So, you know, this slide really just lists all of the members who were involved on the strategic planning committee. And again, it was really important for us to hear from some diverse perspectives. So people in this group really represented different businesses, you know, different organizations throughout the community. And I think that was some of the highlights and that I had in participating in those strategic planning committees is hearing just the different ideas. I think there was really thoughtful input. There was thoughtful dialogue at some of the different tables with the different participants in discussing kind of what are the priorities of the park district, what are we doing well, and what are those areas that we need to focus on. Can you go back a slide? Oh, okay. So I just want to, one other real highlight that I want to recognize is our writing team. The writing team worked really hard, spent a lot of time in taking all of the information and putting it in this document that you have tonight. Dave Beets, our deputy director, was very involved. We have Carolyn Mutain, Barack Leitz, and Stephanie D'Ambrosio and Tori Benders were the key writing team members. And I really want to give a special shout out to Tori and Stephanie, because they took all of our information, all of our plan, and we kind of called it the one voice. because we had different people that were writing different sections, and they took all that information and really made it flow and put it all together. So they worked really hard on that, and it was a significant amount of time. All right. To the core of our plan, and I'm going to run through this. I promise I'm not going to go through every detail of the strategic plan, but I do think it's important. I really wanted to hit some of the high points. Obviously, one of the highest points is our mission. This is something that has been updated and changed, and something, again, that I think we're pretty excited about. Growing community through places, spaces, and experiences. And we feel that that mission really encompasses all of the work that we do at the Park District. Our vision. The Park District strives to be a central driving force in creating an active and healthy community by providing safe spaces to nurture personal growth and enhance social connections, building a collaborative workplace with dedicated, forward-thinking staff, ensuring open, accountable, and transparent communication with the public, protecting our park ecosystems and surrounding environments, utilizing data-driven decision-making to improve services and maximize our community impact, and advocating for diversity, equity, and inclusion in everything that we do.
I'd just like to jump in because I was involved in some of these discussions. And even the mission statement, growing community through places, spaces, and I mean, that's so short and sweet, but it took a long time and a lot of discussion to get something. I think Yogi Berra said, I would have kept it short, no, not Yogi Berra. Well, said I would have kept it shorter had I had more time. There's a quote up there.
Yeah, thanks for adding that, Commissioner Ross. And when I get to the values, I was going to echo that same thing. We talked about a lot of different, through the Strategic Planning Committee, we had an exercise where the Strategic Planning Committee members ranked values, and then we brought it back to our staff, and we brought it to our leadership team, and we definitely heard from different perspectives, and when we finally got to the final three that we're bringing before you, we did have a little bit of a song and a little bit of a celebration. But the values that we feel are important and really speak to, Dave was leading us off.
Maybe.
And something, like I said, that we really feel like really embraces the Park District is and where we want to go. And I'm going to add that is where we want to go and where we want to be authentic, be bold, and be collaborative. By being authentic, it means upholding the highest standards of integrity, transparency, and stewardship in all of our interactions and decisions. Being bold means that we will courageously embrace challenges and push boundaries to drive growth. By fostering a culture of boldness, we inspire each other to think creatively, act decisively, take calculated risks, lead with conviction, and pursue ambitious goals. And be collaborative. We believe in the strength that comes from diverse perspectives. We encourage innovation, enhance problem solving to achieve greater outcomes. Our priorities. So the strategic priorities of the plan really center around three main pillars. Organizational excellence, relationships, and places and spaces. And under each of these strategic priorities, we have goals, objectives, strategies, and outcomes. The first strategic priority is organizational excellence. Policy governance, again, was a theme that came out from our surveys. Really implementing a governance model that will position the Board of Commissioners in a strategic role, really focusing on the district's long-term vision. And that policy that we were working on, the governance policy, was also approved tonight on the consent agenda. So both of these will be working hand in hand. Capital improvement plan. A capital improvement plan really just assesses our current and future infrastructure needs, making sure that we are aligning the community demands with environmental stewardship, and really provides a roadmap for our improvements, our maintenance, and expansion to hear what our users and park services folks want. Another important piece here with organizational excellence is a preventive maintenance plans. Making sure that we have plans in place where we are doing inspections and assessments and repairs and replacing the current facilities and amenities that we have. Long-range financial planning. I mean, Brock touched a little bit on this and the importance of our long-range financial planning in looking at the future and making sure that we are keeping up with the current buildings and facilities that we have. So looking at a clear strategy for funding and budgeting and making those investment priorities. And then people and culture, really the value of people. You know, that is one of the main core of what we do. Having a strong internal culture that promotes an effective workforce management that creates trust and collaboration and that aligns with our overall community's organizational goals. And then the second strategic priority is relationships. You know, really talking about, again, thinking about what the Park District does and all of the different organizations that we partner with in the community. So focusing on like organizational relationships, successful organizational relationships really hinge on having standards, including effective partnership management and community building. You know, this again really fosters a collaboration or fosters trust, collaboration, resiliency, adaptability, and support. And then really looking at community engagement. You know, proactively involving our community also helps to foster that trust, transparency, and ownership. Enhancing our responsiveness and sustainability for inclusive and impactful outcomes. And the third strategic priority is places and spaces. And this priority really includes all of our events, programs, facilities that we have in the Park District. And we define spaces as our facilities and parks, more of the physical dimensions, whereas places are the cultural, social, and emotional. So what's included here is really just informed decision-making, you know, making sure that we are using the data to make decisions, focusing on ecological and sustainable interactions, long-term sustainability, you know, really looking at our resources and protecting some of the ecosystems as well as just the overall future and well-being of the Park District. And then inclusive design and diverse programming are just vital in creating welcoming environments to ensure that we're creating equitable access to all of our individuals in the community. And next steps. So we have a plan. And again, we feel like our next steps and implementing this plan is what's going to be especially important for the community and for our staff. So we are currently working on our implementation plan. We will be rolling out the strategic plan to all of our employees at our all staff meeting that we're hosting on August 15th. We also have a strategic planning committee event. You know, we want to bring back all of those folks who were vital in providing that input and feedback to creating this plan so we can celebrate with the community and share with them the direction that we're heading. And then I think the other piece that is really important to mention, and it will be important for us moving forward, is that annual review. You know, again, this is not a plan that we do one time. We talk about this is something that's going to be in the forefront, that our staff will be seeing on a regular basis, and that we'll be reviewing annually to update and make any potential changes. And one piece that I didn't talk about is really creating an organizational work plan. And I think that's the piece that goes along with that implementation, is really taking all of the different goals and strategies that are specifically stated in this strategic plan and adding them onto our annual work plan. And looking at different departments that will be taking different pieces of those to make sure that we have, a logical and thoughtful plan and a timeline and how we carry those out. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I don't have any,
Before we adjourn.
I don't have any questions, but stealing Jared's words, this is next level. You know, I can't help but being just listening to this and just, I mean, we have we've moved to a new era for the park district, and it's so exciting and it's so inspiring to be part of it. You know, a couple of notes I wrote, this is not the park district of my childhood. You know, you think of park districts growing up and it was, well, you have a little ball field over here, maybe you have a tennis court in your town. Maybe not just for children, but for the entire community. It's just fantastic. You know, we've been talking about community engagement and how important bringing the community in and having them help us guide our way and what the community wants more than just what we want or what staff wants or what we think they should want. So it's just, I couldn't be more proud and honored to be part of this at this time. So thank you so much for all your efforts and to everyone who was part of it.
Yeah, I'd echo what Vicki said and amplify by, you know, this is going to be the guidepost for the future of our organization as we look at decisions and ideas and where do we go, that this is going to help us exactly tell us what we need to do instead of, you know, previously it would be almost like reactionary. Now we're going to be more proactive in how we accommodate growing the park district.
I would like to thank you, Jerry, for kind of representing the board in this process too. I think that's nice, knowing we have at least one board member, and Susan, you did a tremendous job and bringing everybody together, and Dr. Beats also did a great job, and I think you could see this whole process from kind of being on the outside looking in was done extraordinarily well, and I think, you know, I think it's going to be worth the work and effort, right? And I wrote down too how Dr. Schott sort of said, you know, your typical strategic plan, you do all this work and it sits on a shelf and it gets dusty, right? So, oh, job well done, you sing a song and then you forget about it. And I think the beauty of what we've just done, including the governance policy as well, is like, well, now we are attaching our measurables, right? And we're attaching all of this to this plan. So we're in essence forcing ourselves to not let this sit on the shelf, right? We have to look at this and we have to measure on these outcomes. And so I think it's exciting. We know we have to have a little bit of, give ourselves some patience and grace, as it is a big change. And it's going to start with all of us, the 5 of us up here, you know, and we have to get ourselves into this model and mindset. And then from where we sit, it needs to kind of then trickle down into the rest of the organization. So it'll be a change, but I think it'll be exciting. Also, nicely done from the mark. Oh, go ahead.
No, Commissioner, I was just going to say, I forgot to say our marketing communications team, Kylie Conwisher put that together, and it is absolutely.
So yeah, I was kind of flipping through it, and I'm like, oh, that's a good picture. I was looking at the pictures and how well this is done, and this is put together, and even in the PowerPoint presentation, some of these the photo of the kayakers is like, that's unbelievable. That's amazing. Will this be on, like, will we post this online? Will we try to make sure we get this in front of as many people as we can and share this?
Yeah, okay. Yes. We will have it online, and we'll be printing some extra copies. Definitely we want to get this out in the community. We're very proud of that piece.
And I know that, you know, we were kind of getting updates on how it's going and the values, right? And I know I had a little like the bold one. I was like, ugh. And once you read the description of it, I was kind of sold. But I think, yeah, it's a whole new opportunity to go in a forward direction. That's exciting.
Yeah, I'll reiterate what others have said too. I also, you know, think they commend the entire staff at ACCO, excluding Dr. Schatz, which obviously he was extremely, but that 40 people, like 40 staff and or, you know, community members directly related, foundation board members, former park board commissioners before becoming board members, foundation board members. You know, you could have taken your executive team and created the strategic plan, rolled a piece of it out and said, give us your feedback. And when you tell your staff, give us your feedback, it's okay, this is what's going to happen. I mean, this is truly, it was a lot of work and time consuming, but but it's a product of the entire park district now. And the beauty of that is when there's accountability on all levels of upholding that, because it's everybody's organic document. It's not, it's just not just one person's, or it's not just the executive team. So as time consuming and maybe sometimes frustrating, right, while people are haggling things out as it was, the bottom line is that the result is everybody's. There's ownership at all levels of the park district to it, and therefore you can expect total buy-in, and that's awesome. So thank you.
It would be my honor and privilege to move that we accept the strategic plan as presented, and thanks for all the hard work.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, Jeff, please poll the board.
Commissioner Rosted,
Yes.
Commissioner Deutsch,
Aye.
Commissioner Amity,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Susan.
Our future is clear.
All right, having concluded the regular agenda, the meeting is hereby adjourned.